I never thought much of the app when I first installed it. It came bundled with some family plan software, one of those peace of mind tools that let you check on your partner's location. Not in a stalkerish way, just mutual transparency, right? We both agreed to it. Or so I thought. Her name was Morgan. We met in the early spring of 2016. I was running late for a brunch meeting, juggling 2 coffees and a portfolio case, when I accidentally bumped into her on a downtown sidewalk. She spilled her green smoothie all over her beige blazer, and I swear I've never seen someone laugh so easily at being ruined by kale. I offered to pay for dry cleaning. She waved me off and said, "If this is how we meet, at least it wasn't hot coffee." We started dating 2 weeks later. The early years were a blur of late-night takeout, hiking trips, her playlists filling my car stereo, and whispered dreams under string lights in our backyard. She had this way of making even the ordinary feel cinematic. And for a while, I was certain we were the lucky ones. You know, the kind of couple people quietly envy at weddings. Real, solid, maybe even unshakable. So, no, I didn't think twice when she asked me to delete the app. She was making breakfast, wearing that oversized hoodie I always claimed as mine, the one that somehow looked better on her. I was scrolling through my phone, checking her location. She was at the gym, as expected, and she saw it. Just a glance over my shoulder. Her tone changed almost instantly. "That app," she said, gently but firm. "It's kind of creepy, don't you think?" I looked at her, confused. "It's just the location thing. We both have it." She shrugged, flipping me eggs. "Yeah, but it's weird now. I don't like the idea of being tracked. You don't trust me?" I remember the way her eyes lingered on mine. Cool, careful, but almost pleading. And I remember the sudden knot in my chest, the quiet guilt that crept in like fog through an open window. I didn't want to be the suspicious husband. I didn't want to be that guy. So I nodded, smiled, said, "You're right. It's dumb." And I deleted the app. Right there, in front of her. She kissed my cheek, and I felt like I'd passed some test. The thing is, I didn't reinstall it out of suspicion. Not at first. It was maybe 2 months later, on a random Wednesday. She said she had to stay late for work, some marketing pitch for a new client, lots of moving pieces, etc. I believed her. Of course I did. I ordered Thai food, queued up a movie she'd been meaning to watch, and waited. But hours passed. No call. No texts. Midnight came and went. By 2 a.m., I was lying on the couch, phone in hand, staring at the ceiling. Something gnawed at me. Not quite panic, but an itch in the part of your brain that knows when something's not adding up. And so I did it. I re-downloaded the app. I reconnected it using the old account. She hadn't removed permissions. I could see her location within seconds. And there it was. She wasn't at work. She was across town, at an address I didn't recognize. I opened Google Maps. It was a house. Suburban, a few neighborhoods away from where we lived. Quiet, residential. I zoomed in. No restaurants. No offices, just cul-de-sacs and front lawns. I stared at that blinking blue dot for a long time. It didn't move, not even once. The next morning, she came home as if nothing had happened, smiled sleepily, said, "God, the client was a nightmare," kicked off her shoes and poured herself a glass of orange juice, kissed me on the cheek. "Thanks for waiting up." I didn't say anything. I couldn't. My voice wouldn't work. I remember her walking into the bedroom, humming something under her breath. Something light and ordinary. I sat on the edge of the couch and stared at my hands, unsure of what they were supposed to do. Fight? Scream? Throw something? I did none of that. Instead, I waited until she left for work the next morning. Said goodbye like it was any other Thursday. Watched her car disappear down the street. Then I walked into our closet, pulled out a suitcase, and started packing. No confrontation. No letter. No dramatic goodbye. I just packed. I didn't even take everything, just enough. Essentials. Passport. Laptop. A few shirts. And my wedding ring, which I placed quietly on her nightstand. By noon, I was gone. I got as far as a roadside diner on I-70 before I let myself really feel anything. It was the kind of place with sun-bleached menus and tired waitresses who didn't ask questions. I sat in a booth in the far corner, stared out the window at the cracked asphalt and swaying gas station sign, and let my coffee go cold. I hadn't cried. Not yet. I didn't feel rage either. Just this strange, hollow calm. Like the part of me that should have reacted was somewhere else. Still catching up. Or maybe just tired. So damn tired. I kept checking that app. Every half hour, maybe more. The little blue dot stayed put at that house. I knew whose house it was by that evening. Curiosity gave way to quiet resolve. I hadn't wanted to know. I told myself it didn't matter. But there's something about betrayal that makes the truth feel like oxygen. You hate how much you need it. So I opened her laptop. The one she left behind in her rush that morning. No password change. I don't think she thought I'd actually leave. Or maybe she figured I'd play dumb like I always had. Shrug it off, bury my suspicions, try harder to win her love back. But I was done trying. I checked her browser history, her emails, her calendar, and there it was, an event 2 nights prior. Dinner with C. The initial meant nothing at first. Then I checked her messages. Christian, that was his name. A contractor she'd worked with on some campaign last fall. I remembered him vaguely. Met him once at a holiday mixer. Broad shoulders, charming in that overconfident way. He'd shaken my hand too hard and complimented my watch like it was a reflex. I didn't think twice of him then. Why would I? He was just a vendor. A handshake. A footnote. But she had text threads with him going back months. Hundreds of messages. Flirty at first, then unambiguously romantic. Hidden under a contact name spelled backwards, Nate Cirque. I wouldn't have noticed if I hadn't been looking closely. One message stuck with me. He still thinks I'm working late. Poor guy? God. I feel guilty for like 5 seconds, and then I remember how safe it feels to be with you. Safe. That word echoed in my head like an insult. Like a joke. I was her safe place. Her shelter. Her backup plan. The one she came home to when the fantasy ended. That night, I booked a motel off the interstate. The room smelled like bleach and cigarette smoke, but it had a bed and a door that locked, and that was enough. I sat on the edge of the mattress, watching the app again, watching her finally move, back to our place. She was home, probably walking through the door I had just walked out of. Maybe she'd see the empty closet. Maybe she'd check her phone and find no text from me. Maybe she'd notice the ring. Or maybe she wouldn't. Maybe she was with him already, pretending to cry, spinning a story about how I'd been cold, distant, unloving. That's how these things usually go, right? The villain is always the one who leaves. The one who doesn't explain. I didn't sleep that night. Just lay there with the TV on mute, staring at the ceiling, wondering how long she'd been gone from me in her heart. If I'd ever really had her at all. The memories felt different now, like photos from a life someone else lived. The way she used to trace her fingers across my chest in the mornings. The way she laughed at my dumb impressions. The road trip where we got lost in Utah and ended up dancing under the stars to a playlist we'd made in college. Were any of those moments real? Or were they just placeholders? Convenient illusions while she waited for something? Or someone more exciting? I remembered how she used to call me her constant. Back when that sounded like a compliment. Now it just felt like a euphemism for boring. There's this line I read once in some novel. I don't even remember the title, but it stuck with me. He was the man she needed until she believed she didn't need anyone. That's what it felt like. Like I'd been the scaffolding for a life she never really wanted. A good man. A predictable man. And predictability, I learned, can be the loneliest kind of prison. The next morning, I got back in the car. No destination. Just kept driving. Through Ohio, into Pennsylvania, stopping only when I needed gas or sleep. My phone buzzed a few times, her name lighting up the screen. I didn't answer. Didn't block her either. I just let the calls roll into silence. She texted once. Where are you? I'm worried. I stared at it for a long time. Then I powered off the phone. By the end of the week, I'd found a small cabin rental near Lake George. No Wi-Fi, barely a signal. Just trees, a fireplace, and quiet. God, the quiet. I didn't realize how much I'd missed it. I spent days walking trails, chopping wood, trying to remember how to be alone without feeling abandoned. It's harder than you'd think, untangling yourself from someone else's gravity. But with each passing day, the ache dulled. Not healed. Not yet. But dulled. The strange thing was, I didn't hate her. I thought I would. But I didn't. Hate would have been easier. Cleaner. Instead, I felt this slow, mournful kind of love. The kind that no longer asks to be returned. The kind that just, let's go. It's been almost a year now. I've changed in ways that don't show up in photos. I sleep better mostly. I talk less, but I listen more. I go whole days without checking my phone. And when I do, her number is still there, like a ghost that forgot it was supposed to leave. She texted again 6 weeks after I vanished. Please. I'm sorry. Can we talk? I didn't reply. I don't know what she wanted to say. An apology, maybe. Or a confession carefully wrapped in blame. Or perhaps she'd felt that same suffocating silence I had. Maybe Christian didn't look the same in daylight. Maybe the thrill of sneaking around turned bitter once it stood under honest light. Maybe she missed the way I made coffee without being asked, or how I always turned the porch light on before she got home. I'll never know, because I never asked questions after that day. After I saw her at his house, on that app she told me to delete. Something in me closed. Not slammed shut. Just quietly sealed, like a door you don't want to risk opening again. I never confronted her. Never showed her the screenshots. Never gave her the stage. What was the point? No confrontation would have undone the choice she made. And if I'd stayed, if I'd begged, argued, bargained, I would have become a man I didn't respect. I would have taught her that betrayal was survivable, manageable, negotiable. And I couldn't live like that. Not even for love. So instead, I started over. A town 3 states away. A new job, less glamorous but more honest. I rent a modest 1-bedroom above a bookstore. The landlord's an older guy named Frank who leaves fresh bread by my door some mornings. He doesn't ask many questions, and I like it that way. I spend most evenings walking. There's a park nearby with a small lake. Ducks, benches, the works. It's quiet. Sometimes I'll bring a journal, though I rarely write in it. I just hold the pen like it's a promise I'm still trying to make to myself. To heal. To forgive her. Not for her sake, but for mine. I don't hate Morgan. I really don't. I think she loved me in her own way. Or maybe she loved who I was when she first met me. I was solid, predictable, a safe harbor in her chaotic tide. But the thing about being someone's harbor is, eventually, they want to sail again. She left before she left. Emotionally, I mean. She started closing doors I didn't even notice. She got quieter during dinner. Laughed less at my jokes. Spent more time on her phone with her screen tilted just slightly away. And I missed it. That's what eats at me sometimes. Not just what she did, but how blind I was to the unraveling. Like I was watching a movie in slow motion and still missed the twist. But I've stopped blaming myself. Most days, I wasn't perfect. I worked late too often. I let routine become a replacement for romance. I thought showing up every day was enough. Maybe it isn't always. Maybe some people need more noise to feel alive. But I was faithful. I was kind. I was there. And in the end, I think that counts for something. I kept the app installed for a while, even after I moved. Not because I wanted to spy. I never looked again. I think it just became a kind of reminder of how fast everything can change. Of how something meant to bring you closer can end up being the very thing that shows you how far apart you've grown. Eventually, I deleted it. Not out of anger. Out of peace. That part of my life is done now. Morgan lives in a chapter 1 don't revisit often. And when I do, it's not with bitterness. Just a quiet ache. Like the smell of a house you used to call home. I still wear my wedding ring sometimes. Not on my finger. I keep it on a chain around my neck. Not because I want her back, but because it reminds me of who I was when I believed in forever. That man still exists. A little bruised, maybe, but alive. Hopeful. And someday, when I meet someone new, I'll take that ring off and put it away. Not to forget her, but to make space for someone else. Someone who doesn't ask me to delete the truth just because it's inconvenient. Someone who chooses me, not because I'm safe, but because I'm enough. I never asked questions after that. Just packed and left. And in that silence, I found myself again.